Howdy, folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And tonight we got a great show for you. As always, we're going to be talking about meditation and meditation of the Native Americans with my co-host, David Null, Hawkeye Two Feathers. Thank you for being here tonight.
And greetings and blessings to all y'all out there. And we always hope and wish that you're doing the best as possible. And we greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. So thank you, Robert, for having me for another show. And let's get at it.
Oh, yeah. Well, absolutely. We got lots of stuff going on. I've told everybody I'm going to be doing, meditation this month, and this seems to be, one of those subjects that we can all relate to. And people been doing this for, hundreds of thousands of years. And tonight we're going to see how did the Native Americans do it. Now, I am not Native American. And I'm not quite sure. So I'm going to need your help to bring this along. But I got great information. And so if people got questions on this, I'm going to do my best to bring you the most knowledge I possibly can. But from what I've discovered is most of the stuff that, how should I say, that I've read is pretty much, it's the same all over. They meditate kind of the same way we do. They have the same kind of steps, but they tend to use drums, flutes. They tell stories of spirit animals. Oh, we do that here. We tell the stories. And we're going to get into some of this. And I have, of course, as always, some presentation stuff. Let me get my screens going. And oops, wrong button here. But anyway, we got a lot of things going on here. And we're going to start out with this. This is a good one. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that, shrink this, put this back up, and there we go. Okay, lots of stuff to click on tonight, I tell you. Anyway, present, share screen. Of course I want to share the screen, it says. And here we go. Drumming, as we said. Drumming, now everybody seems to, I ain't going to go into details about meditation because most people know what meditation is. It's, it's where you quiet your mind. You want to, you're going to let go of the world around you. You want to be able to get inside your head. Is that a good description of meditation? You want to quiet everything and so you can think or just be at peace. David, what do you say on that?
Yeah, that's the basic,
The basics, yes.
You want to quiet the mind and just be at one with yourself without exterior noises or anything like that. So,
but the thing is you could use exterior noises to pretty much drown out those noises. Like some people say mantras but here's the Native Americans thing. And they said drumming is another way Native Americans meditated. The drum is used to increase intuition and heighten perception. According to the elders, the drum can release and balance spiritual energy. The hypnotic rhythms allow the body to achieve a meditative state while relaxing and calming the mind. Okay, so with that, of course, I always got some real good stuff on here for this stuff, but of course, if you
let me comment on that.
Yes.
People have been using sounds, mantras, drums, bells. I got this thing about bells, especially mostly brass. And the meditation, the Chinese, use gongs and these little bells. I showed them before, but they hang right up here all the time. So If I'm so inclined, I get these Chinese bells down that literally came from the Great Wall of China. So the drum, they could chant, but the drum is just another form of using a mantra. So you listen to the drum beat, and it's a focal point. So, like there are types of candle meditations where you light a candle and just meditate and watch the flame of the candle, So, but there is that focal point. So when some people, you want to reach a deeper meditation, then I would say using a focal point would be one way to do it versus just closing your eyes and just, finding calm. Did that make sense?
Yes, that definitely makes sense.
So the drum is just a way to reach a focal point.
And I am going to see if I can do this here. Where? Screen. Let's see if this works. Can you hear that? The sound. Is the sound coming through?
Yeah.
It is. Okay. Maybe I have to turn it up. You hear the drums in the background?
Yep.
Like I said, it's a peaceful drum. Not the banging, banging, banging. But something like this, you could meditate to. You could calm yourself and drown out the other noises, and let's just be quiet.
And the drum is the heartbeat of Mother Earth. So there is this other connection, if you will, with the drum. So that if you have been taught that the drum is the heartbeat of America, of the earth, then boy, that was a slip of the tongue for some reason. But anyway, so you listen to the heartbeat of Mother Earth. So there's a drum, and you say, it was a calming type of drum versus I'm like, really? I can hear all kinds of drums, and it calms me. But I've been around drums for 30 years now, so where other people have not. At least 30 years. Yeah, probably more, but at least 30 years I can claim. So, the drum is the same thing that the Chinese can use with the gong or with using bells ringing, or or like the whirling dervishes, going around in circles.
Yeah.
There is a pattern and a tempo.
Okay, so I got a tempo here, and we're going to go back to, if I can do this right. I'm trying to do a whole bunch of stuff here. Let's see if we can go back to this. And shrink that. Play this. And then put this back up. And then we'll present. Okay, so with that, could you hear all of that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I hope everybody else is hearing. Scotty Boy says it's the same as Hawaiian chanting. Well, that's good to know. Anyway, you could hear their voices if you listen really close. Most people say, when I first listened to it, it sounds like people just screaming, and in the background, and it's horrible. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like little kids in the background just boom, boom, boom. What the heck are they doing? You know what I mean? And so I was like, well, but if you start really listening to it, it starts to make a pattern. And so I just wanted to share that with everybody so they get a good idea of what is going on there, with the drums and things like that. Now, we also have another thing that they're good for is the flute. Okay, I gotta pop this back up. Lots of clicking here, and in order to get all this squared away, and so what did you think of that?
Good sound mixing.
Yes.
Actually, great sound mixing. And for those who may want to know, that was a pan flute. Not a normal straight flute, but a pan flute.
Yeah, there was nope. I guess I closed that one out. There was a
drum was very, very quiet in the background.
Yep.
So whoever mixed that did a really good job, in my humble opinion. And that is the kind of thing that if you stop and, for example, for me, I felt when I first heard it, in my soul, I felt like I was sitting on a grassy hill. Oh, just, a meadow down the hill, and the music was playing, and I was just being a part of Mother Nature. And maybe there's a river down below or something, but I'm sitting on the hill watching and just being a part of, where I'm sitting and thinking, that the music being played that for some reason took me to Plains Indians, and some guy sitting out there playing his flute in the afternoon as the sun's going down. So I sort of transposed myself to that situation while I was listening to it, if that makes sense, which is a form of meditation, by the way.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is there's what I realized by looking all this up and stuff was that it is a part of meditation, and you don't have to sit there in silence. You can have this thump, thump, thump beat, the heartbeat, the drums beating in the background, a flute. Like you said, you hear the flute and you can close your eyes and you can imagine yourself somewhere else. And I thought that was wonderful. A very good description of how you perceive that.
But see, let's discuss this for a moment. Not everyone can have that experience.
No,
some people listen. Some people listen to it, and it's just stuff. It doesn't really have an effect on them. So for, I don't know, folks like me who've been meditating for years and doing this stuff, it had an almost immediate effect on me.
Yeah.
So, but folks who are raised in a Christian religion or something, you know, and they've not been exposed to this, they listen to it, and the first thing that's going to come to their mind is that a bunch of savages, that's their time, that's their kind of music. You follow me?
And I have the Savages tonight. Boy, I tell you, I got the stuff going on. So, along with the meditation, along with all that other stuff, we've talked about some of these dances that they would do. They would literally go into a hypnotic state while dancing to this beat of the music back in the day. Now, this is some of the oldest footage from back in 1894. And hopefully YouTube don't cancel me for showing some of this, but we're going to show it here tonight. And hopefully you guys can get a little wayfare of what it was actually like. These people would dance around, go into a meditative state. Sometimes the beating of the drum, they would either that, you know, and it's a show too, but here we go. Here goes nothing. See the drum in the background?
Yep.
You know, and like I said, each one is a little bit different. You know, we just have to go. What? Go ahead.
Let me say something before I forget. That last one,
yes,
sounded like a prayer song.
Okay.
And
well, I don't know, but
and what I mean by that is that the voices were low rather than high pitched, and they actually got lower and kind of slower with the drum. And so that is, you know, to me, it immediately is like, man, whatever the dance they're doing, it's in severe reverence, severe reverence, ultimate reverence. And with the song that I was like, man, that's a prayer right there. You know, all dances and all songs are prayers, but that seemed like a specific kind of, I wished I could understand it, you know. I wish I could interpret it, but the tone of voice and the way they were also going in a counterclockwise manner, which some dances go clockwise. So that was one thing that I noticed right away. And as old as it is, that video, it didn't have a chance for them to be, they were in everyday garb versus they weren't dressed up in some kind of regalia. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I picked that was some of the oldest known footage of the, you know, real natives dancing and doing their thing, you know, besides the pictures that we have. You know, like I said, that nowadays they do a lot of that, but I think a lot of it, and I don't know, you've been to some of those things. I think a lot of it now is more for show than it is for the real deal. You
But
think?
no, no,
What do you
because
think?
the dancers who are dancing
Yeah.
know why they're dancing.
Okay.
The drummers who are drumming,
Yeah.
they know why they're drumming. So
Okay.
it still for show? Yeah, they want to put on a good picture for those folks because a lot of times there are dance competitions. So
Okay.
they're there to represent the dance, like a jingle dance.
Hmm.
A girl or a woman who's doing a jingle dance, it's really tough. And you got to have your dress just right with all the jingles on it. And, if it's for a competition,
Hmm.
then they're being judged on their costume, on their presentation, the whole deal. That's right.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, or fortunately, because there are good prizes given out for dancers and so forth, but it always makes the competition. It's like Native Americans were never who is the first, you know? So
Yeah.
then white man steps in and puts this, it's almost like a glamour show. And now contestant number 28, and everybody vote and. So,
And and you're so right. I just want to bring this up. You're so right. I mean, the white man came in and capitalized on a lot of that stuff, like the old Western shows, like Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. They grabbed
yep,
up natives. They grabbed up buffalo. They grabbed up stagecoaches and wagons and went around the country and across to Europe, showing what it was really like out west with people shooting at each other and the whole 9 yards. It was all a show, and I mean, that's the thing. But the people watching didn't realize that the people out west were actually getting killed and shot and hurt. To them, it's like you said, they're out there doing the dance as a competition. They're not doing it because it's just a ritual that you do.
but
That's
that's the other side of this.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to use the jingle dancer as an
Okay.
example. They're in competition to be the best that they can be against other dancers, but they
Hmm.
would not try. They would not just choose to be a jingle dancer.
Hmm.
You got to feel it.
Hmm.
So they're in it for the dance
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
before they're in it for the competition.
Uh,
Okay.
F F Kitty says if that was the ghost dance, it was a last ditch religious effort of solidifying the tribe's history. Says they were wiped out completely in retaliation and was passed down to current day tribes. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if I think the ghost dance was before the film.
Yeah, I don't know either.
So I don't, and anybody who has tried to replicate or duplicate the ghost dance in any way has been thwarted.
Yeah.
So I will use that word thwarted, with guns and bombs and thwarted. But there are many dances, and to the point about white people, there was a white woman, and I wished I could remember her name, but like either at the end of the 1800s or the very beginning of the 1900s, she
Hmm.
went to Indian folks and said, listen, you need to do these dances. And so they actually invented some dances. And I've heard this from elders and other folks within the tribal communities, and to where the ghost dance was an original dance, whereas maybe the snake dance wasn't. So they put
Hmm.
together things about the snake and traditions and created the snake dance. There's the crow hop dance. There is the eagle dance. There is, different dances. And apparently, way back then, she was like, we need to commercialize on this. And so all native tribes need to learn these dances. So, and so I wish I could remember her name, but she's started the commercialization of the powwow. All right. And of the dances. Well, instead of just being out there jumping around willy-nilly, now the natives know what they're doing, but she was like, no, we got to put a name to that dance. And it needs to be the same way every time. And it needs to be, so it's like, so she was sort of a choreographer, if you will, way back in the day, and she choreographed, and I guess in a way you would call her a producer, because she took the actors who were the natives, and she took the situation, and she took the stage, and the stage being Native Americans and the drum. And so she presented that like a producer would of a movie or a play or something. So, and off it went. So there are some Native Americans now, this was about 20 years ago now, but I talked with them, and they were doing a production in Tullahoma, Tennessee. And there were some national folks there at the time, the NAMI Awards, the National American Music Awards. And so having conversation with some of these folks backstage and so forth, it was very interesting to listen to their comments. And it was like, we wouldn't be doing this kind of stuff if it hadn't been for this lady back in the day, but now we do it because we find it important to try to put our own heritage into what was actually created by white people. It's like, what? So, but anyway.
No, I hear you. Okay, let's move on.
Let me add something else. So not all dances are fake. The people who are dancing them are serious. If there's a guy, because girls don't do eagle dances, but if there's a guy dressed to do an eagle dance, he is doing the eagle dance. He is going to transfer his thoughts as much as possible and become the eagle during the dance. So if you say, well, but there are other people there and there's a dance competition and it's a big powwow. Yeah, but that eagle dancer, he's serious about his dance. Other people can say what they want, but he is serious about, just like the jingle dancer is serious about her dance. The eagle dancer is just, if not more so, because he's representing the eagle, where in jingle dancing, it's more about how the jingles work. But anyway, I have met many dancers, and I'm here to tell you they're serious about it. And some of these kids literally start out at 5 or 6 years old dancing. And so it's in their blood. Some of them dance for the fun of it, but most dancers who dance a particular dance, it's religion. It's their religion to dance the way it's supposed to be performed. So, okay.
Okay, cool. I learned something there. Okay, another thing. Some of these things they use, of course, we use them too. I mean, when they include smudging with sweetgrass and sage, cedar brushings, or brushing with an eagle feather. Each practice can provide grounding for individuals. And so again, therein lies some of the same thing. That makes me wonder, did we copy it from them, or did they copy it from somebody else, or did they learn on their own? I think more or less we copied it from them.
Yeah, we copied.
Yes, we definitely copied. Okay. Transcendental meditation technique.
Let me stop you before you go. White people don't have the inclination to think like Native Americans. They just don't. Their inclination to stuff is like, why would I think about something like that? you know,
That is
where
true.
the
That
native
is
person is like, well, because it's like natural, and you would think about things like this, and you know, and but what most white folks are like, they're impervious to it, you know.
and you know why that is because for hundreds and hundreds of years, those thoughts or inclinations to do those things were stamped out by the church. You
Yep.
know, I mean, if you're going to do any kind of meditating or anything, you're going to be praying to God or Jesus or whoever, and that's how you'll. And if you do anything else, you're a witch, and we'll burn you at the stake. Am I right?
Yep, pretty much. And see, for example, for every powwow that I've been to, they always say a Christian prayer. Always. But
Hmm.
then they follow it by a prayer to the Creator.
Yeah. See, and that's see, but then that's the thing is the first thing that when the people came over to this side of the pond, they brought in the priest and they brought in the missionaries to go in and stamp out that other religion and bring in a new one. So they didn't, hopefully that the people here would forget all of this stuff. And I can't imagine how much stuff that they have forgotten or had not got passed down, you know. So just a thought there. I mean,
And it
anyway,
was also erased.
erase. Elderberry's here, and he says Celtics had drums though, like this, and he's right. But again, what did the Celtics do? They got conquered over, and religion came in and made everybody Christians, and church stuff and all, and all that stuff was kind of wiped out too. Same
Yep.
deal. So anyway, let's go on
And
about
what is
this.
the Catholic Church doing now? They brought drums and stuff into the church, which is just so weird. But anyway,
It is. It is. Wow, they brought more than that in there. I mean, they're doing all kinds of weird stuff.
yeah, they are.
Now, yeah, about transcendental meditation technique. Transcendental meditation is simple, natural mental technique that is easy to learn and to practice for 20 minutes twice daily. It does not involve any religion, philosophy, or change in lifestyle. The technique is taught only by certified instructors with extensive experience through a standardized course of instruction and ensures maximum results. I found this on an Indian website, believe it or not. So it's something to think about and check it out. I ain't going to
And
go into that.
here's can I give my 10 cents on
Yeah, go ahead.
TM, as it's called within the community, Transcendental Meditation? I was there back in the early 70s. And you had to pay an instructor, whatever the fee was. And at the end of the instruction, they taught you a secret word.
Ooh.
And you couldn't be a TM person unless you learned the secret word. And the only way that you could do it was to go through and pay someone to teach you how to meditate and to teach you the secret word. And anybody that I've talked to who's ever been in meditation, well, I can't talk about that. It's a secret word. I'm like, seriously now? It's
Seriously.
seriously, can we talk here? It's a secret word. Oh, yeah, it's a secret word. Well, I would bet you that if we could validate our meditation, I bet you I could achieve a similar state without any secret words. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but see,
I'm just saying.
I'm saying. Well, I get what you're saying, but you know how that works. It's the secret word. That's what draws you in. That's why the little kids always wanted to watch the Range Rider, because in the end, he gives you the code, and then you got to save up your bottle caps, and then you get the little code master, and then you can decode his code at the end of the show, and you got thousands of little kids all over the world listening to the Red Rider show so that they can get the secret code you see, that's the thing. It's like you want to know. And that's the whole point is if you got that secretness, people's curiosity trumps everything. You know what I mean? It
Yeah, well,
draws you in.
back in 1971, it was $300 to find out.
Well, yeah, and that was as much as somebody made in like
It
almost a
was like
month.
$1,000 to me, the
Yeah,
$300. But here's the thing, that ought to right there. It was like my Carneyism jumped in and said, these people are scamming. These people
yeah.
are
See,
scamming.
but the
They're taking
people,
they are taking a natural order of meditation, which I was learning on the side, but I was going to the University of South Florida and they had lectures and all this kind of stuff. And I would go and attend because I was very curious. I still am. But when I found out, to learn that secret word, you had to pay $300. And I said, that right there is just bullshit. I'm sorry. If you're going to charge anybody to learn the secret word, then in my humble opinion, you never heard of a Hindu priest or anybody saying, well, you got to pay me first.
well, yeah,
No, they
that,
say,
but
sit down, my son, let's meditate together and let's have a chat.
yeah,
Not that you got to pay me money, and
yeah.
then I'll teach you the secret word.
Well,
No,
F.
no, no.
Kitty
That's
says the
just,
secret word 10 years ago was $2,500. The scam has
see,
gotten
that
larger.
inflation, my
But
God.
no, it's quite the thing. But think of how many people, would send in money to get the lucky penny that they used to give out, or how many people, here's the thing, when you're down on your luck, or you're at wit's end and you have nowhere else to go, and some guy says, for $50, I will give you the secret code to make you rich. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna scrape together every dime you got and give him that $50 because you're gonna think, I'm gonna get that secret code. Just like the king of Nimbia, and the prince of Zimzabar has emailed you and said, there's a $10 million check in your name, but if you just send us $5,000, it'll help get it on the way to your house, and you will be bathed in $10 million. You have won the national lottery of Congoay. You know what I'm saying? And people do it because they're thinking, oh my God, that could solve all of my problems. And that's, like I said, people do these things. But the point is with all of this is, you need to just do it for yourself. Hypnotize yourself. Say the mantras. Lucky Stone, I'm giving a big shout out here. He's got great mantras on his channel. Go find him. And if you want, you can email him. I bet you he'd write up a mantra just for you. If he and put it out there. He's got so many good ones. Maybe I can get him on soon enough, and he can teach us how to make a mantra for ourselves. But anyway, that's nonetheless. We're going to move on with that.
Well,
Wilderness.
I want to say this. What was oh man, it was one of the Barnum and Bailey, Benny, where they said a sucker's born every day. And that, so even to this day, where you would think that people would not be so gullible. I mean, because in 1971, I said poo-poo to the $300 you want, but people paid it. People went. People learned their secret word, and it's just it's a shame that people think that they have to pay for something to get something.
Yeah.
Well, it can't be true if it's free,
Yeah. Yeah. I totally get that.
It's like the Beatles song, the best things in life are free, but give me money.
Yes, exactly. So, what did the Native Americans do when they did their meditation? They went on a vision quest. A lot of them did this. ceremonial rites of passage with their challenges of solitude, fasting, exposure to nature. And we've kind of went through some of these things before, where we talked about how they would sit on top of a hill pretty much naked on a buffalo robe for days without water or anything, just waiting for this vision to come, meditating and so forth and so on. Let me go on here. To help us face our inner fears, affirm our inner strengths and capacities, and listen to our own souls. Now, listen to these things. These are right up the alley here, what we all need to do. We need to get out the clutter and the junk of the imaginary world we live in, because a lot of that clutters our mind. For over 45 years, rites of passage have provided these programs. It talks about programs for people, natural world. Rites of Passage was a non-indigenous organization to offer vision quests to general public beginning in the 70s. It talks about over the years, they continue to contact with indigenous teachers. So there's people doing this. It says here, as spiritual elders from the Western Shoshone Nation, he would invite us to participate in his traditional sunrise ceremony with our groups, always welcoming and warm, especially with young people. You don't have to be an old person to, do these things. Rites of passage. Okay, I got some more here. Why undertake a vision quest? There comes a time when you must leave family, friends, and work behind and go off alone. And that's the point of meditation. It's leaving the world behind, leaving the work to the side. You don't live to work, you work to live. Right? Okay. Looking within to discover your changes in the circle of life. That's what it's all about. The Wilderness Quest, or Vision Quest, is the name of this journey. The Wilderness Quest is an ancient rite of passage ceremony enabling men and women and youth to engage in an old age ceremonial pattern, completion of an old life movement throughout the threshold of the unknown, and return to the world reborn. People in any stage or transition can find meaning in this powerful process. Young people will find particular meaning in the challenges the program presents. Okay, and it's not about this program they're talking about. It's this part here I wanted to read so much of it. It's being reborn. Going to the threshold by, fasting, or, like nowadays, the popular thing is that cold water plunge, or, all kinds of different things that are going on in this world. But to leave that world behind and put yourself in a position where you're going to concentrate on yourself and throw the junk out, leave the imaginary junk world that we got, because we're all our house. I guarantee pretty much everybody here just has a lot of junk in their house. Am I wrong?
You should see my house.
and that's what I mean. We are hoarders, almost everyone. So there you go. We're all hoarders. We collect so much junk. We need to, go on our own vision quest. Remember here, I'm going to read this again. There comes a time when you must leave family and friends and work behind and go off alone. That doesn't mean you have to go off into the woods and sit under a blanket and tell everybody to F off. You can sit in your own house. You just be alone. Go in a room. Be quiet. Look within and discover your changes in the circle of challenge, or changes in the circle of life. The Wilderness Quest. And it's an ancient rite of passage, or a ceremony enabling men and women and youth. Okay, so my question out of all of this is, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. My question in all of this is, are we raising our youth? This is a question for you to answer. Our youth today that have no vision, they have no quest, they have no purpose in life because they were never taught to have purpose in life. And that's why they still live in mom and dad's basement at the age of 35. They go out and do stupid things, they buy all this junk, they sit around and get fat and drink beer and play video games, and they don't accomplish anything. Now, I'm not saying that's every single one, but I'm saying is that, have we screwed up the youth?
In a lot of ways, yes. And here's a basic thing. They have never been tested. Mm-hmm. And I mean by the world. So a 13-year-old native boy that has been on a vision quest understands a whole lot more than a 26-year-old white boy. It just mm-hmm. is. Understands things on a basic level that the white boy who's never been in a tense situation will say, because if you go on a vision quest, you're stretching it, mm-hmm. But that you're going to stretch it. It might be 2 or 3 days without, food or any, most folks will take along water, so it's not a complete fast because you got to have water. So, but with that said, so you're gonna say that for 2 or 3 days, all you're gonna have is water. Well, yeah. They do those kinds of cleanses and things nowadays, but folks go on about their business. They go to work, they do their thing. It's not the same thing. So the same thing, like I can only speak in around it, but folks in Australia, who go to the outback and do a walkabout.
Yeah.
It's in a lot of ways, it's the same thing, the vision quest, the walkabout. And so, but in the vision quest, you have to want it.
Yeah. But
you got to want it. So people these days don't want to go through that kind of sacrifice. And let me add one more thing. And I can't remember which card it is in the animal cards, but it might be bat. But in that you have to go through a shaman's death. And to become a shaman, you volunteer for this. But, that you, in some instances, you dig a hole and you cover yourself over and you stay there for 12 hours. And when you emerge from the grave, as it is, then you are reborn. But on the vision quest, it's basically the same thing. You're putting yourself into a situation where you're out in nature and it might rain on you, it might, whatever it is, and you got to tough it out. And so, but at the end of it, you'll be so much stronger. But you got to volunteer for it. You got to want it. And how many white people today would volunteer for such an effort? They'd go, F you, I'm not doing that. No way. Where the native folks are like, well, I can't wait for my vision quest.
Yes.
No, well, son, you got to wait till you're at least 13. Well, I'm 12 and a half. Can't I go? So there is, in their tradition, they are meant to go on a vision quest. Even Native American girls expect to go on some type of vision quest.
Yes.
Because they want to learn about themselves.
But that's what I'm saying is back in the day, or I don't know so much if it happens today, even in the Native Americans, but today, 99.9% of the kids have no quest. They don't know who they are. They're just there, and go out and just be whoever you want to be, and when I say that, I mean, really, you want to be a boy and you're a girl, or you want to be a girl and you're a boy, or if you want to do this or you want to do that, people don't even know who they are anymore. And so, like it says, there's no quest. They don't know who they are. So how, if you don't know who you are, you don't have anything to strive for. You don't have that quest. like it said there, you're just out there loose in the wind. You know, you don't have a purpose either. And it shows, because we can see when we go to the cities or places, the kids just don't have that drive. They didn't have that quest. They didn't get reborn. They didn't learn anything. They don't want to be like their father or mother. They just want to be whatever the school had put in front of them and said, you need to be a lawyer or a doctor, pick one, then go to college for umpteen years, pay a lot of money, and when you get out, there won't be any job for you. How about that?
Yeah. Was talking about this the other day and have talked about it before, but growing up, we were locked out of the house. And, and there's so many of us that I've talked to, the girls too, women too, they were like, Mama locked us out of the house. We couldn't go in. I had to go around a tree and pee, and unless it was a number 2, you didn't get in the house, and if you wanted something to drink, you drank out of the hose,
The garden hose. Yep, I did that.
Right. And so, but so many folks these days don't know what the hell that means, because Mama's afraid to let them outside. We was outside playing in the dirt, and so and it's been said here recently, and I spoke about it last night in the video, in that they have, instead of a seed bank, which they have up in Norway, they've now started saving like gut viruses and things and stuff, because so many kids these days don't have the natural
enzymes
and etc. and so forth, like we did when we was growing up.
Well, yeah, because they never get
so, and they're so susceptible.
The little kids, they pick it up when they're kids by eating dirt and stuff, but now the parents don't let them out to be in the dirt. Don't touch the dirt, wash your hands, put the stuff on, there's Max Vision. Hey, Max, how you doing? Regine.
Well, I have a friend of mine who is that him and his wife just had another child. And so he was telling me, he said, well, the doctors nowadays say that you shouldn't take your newborn around people for at least 3 months. And I was like, what? My son at the age of 3 months, I was toting him around on a backpack, and we were going up the Appalachian Trail. What do you mean you can't? Well, you can't expose him to this and you can't expose him to that. I said, you're kidding me. When I was a kid, you got drug around. If you was old enough to, at the age of, maybe a week or so, they kept you home, maybe 2 weeks, but people couldn't wait to see the new baby. So you was out driving around and visiting people with your new baby. And now they say, oh, you can't do that for at least 3 months. What? Yeah. So I'm still appalled and amazed. I was like, you get that child out of here. Take him out somewhere, for God's sakes. There are germs he needs to pick up.
I think F Kitty says, oh my God, they need that for immune function, building and regulation. Yes, that is
so a lot of these kids, they have no immune system,
Yeah, and then of course, what happens when you don't have immune system? You become allergic to things, and you get sick more often, and you need. Next thing you know, you got asthma.
Well, here's an interesting thing, because I did a video yesterday, not to plug my video, but my talk is about that. Humanity is we're in a change. We're not at the end of humanity. We're at the beginning of humanity, because people are starting to think differently, and they're starting to look at politics and stuff and traditions and stuff, and it's like, who changed the policy that you should not take your child out anywhere for the first 3 months? He should stay home and isolated. And wait a minute, who come up with that stuff? I mean, but in this, that we are having a tendency to learn now, this is learned behavior, right? Because they're teaching us, well, you that. So in 10 years time, it's going to be 6 months you shouldn't take your child out.
Yeah,
I mean, so you got to keep an eye on some of this stuff and think about it. Wait a minute. You know, us old timers, we were drugged through the mud, sometimes literally, and we all survived. You know, there are a bunch of us baby boomers who made it through some really tough times. So they're pandering to the fear of people. So, you know, you got to have X amount of shots. You got to have X amount of this. I mean, I think we had like 5 um, shots when we were growing up. Now it's like 20 or something. It's amazing how many shots children have to get these days. You know, and I wonder if these shots aren't making them more susceptible.
Yeah.
Instead of immunizing them, because so many children have diseases like, you know, diverticulitis and Crohn's disease in teenagers. You know, that should be my sister. She's in her 60s. She's got a type of Crohn's disease, but it was late in life that was onset. So there are people getting sick of stuff at very, very early ages that, you know, it would take you to be 70s or 80s before anything like that would show up. So that should be alarming to people. And what's that got to do with meditation and stuff? Well, you know, it has to do with we've gotten away from the natural order of things. And that's where the tie-in is for me. We as a peoples, as a society, have gotten away from our connection to Mother Earth and to those natural things. So anyway, that's my tirade.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to go on to this. I'm going to read this here. The cosmic visions of indigenous people are significantly diverse. We know that. This is kind of lead up into your story. So here we go. Each nation and community has its own unique traditions. Still, several characteristics stand out. First, it is common to envision the creative process of the universe as a form of thought or mental process. Second, it is common to have a source of creation that is plural, either because several entities participate in creation or because the process as it unfolds includes many sacred actors stemming from the first principle, the mother, father, the grandfather, or grandmother, as we've talked about in a bunch of those stories. Third, the ancient agents of creation, we did a lot of creation stories, are seldom pictured as human, but are depicted instead as wonkin, or holy, or animal-like, coyote, raven, the great white hare, etc., or as forces of nature, such as the wind or breath. The Lakota medicine man, Lame Deer, says that the Great Spirit is not like a human being. He is a power. That power could be in a cup of coffee. The Great Spirit is no old man with a beard. The concept perhaps resembles the Elohim of the Jewish Genesis, the plural form of Elo, usually mistranslated as God, as though it were singular. Perhaps the most important aspect of the indigenous cosmic visions of the conception of creation as a living process resulting in living universe in which a kinship exists between all things. Thus, the creators are a family, our grandparents or our parents, and all their creations. So there we go. That's a little bit on that, and that leads up to your stories tonight. And as it usually has, it's either grandmother, grandfather in there. Coyote plays a big part. Raven, eagle. All of those totems represent a figure and who is real but isn't real all at the same time. Is that not right?
Sort of, yeah. One of the things that, as we have, I have read cards, and I'll do pull a card or so tonight as well. But in the learning about the animal cards and about the animals themselves, so we have learned that the medicine of an animal, so bear is introspection, an eagle is far, and so there, each one has their own specific, as we would, as it is called, as a medicine. So what do you mean by the medicine of an animal? Well, it's sort of what it can teach you. It's sort of what you can learn, and it's good medicine for the soul. That's where the medicine is. Okay, so it's good medicine for the soul, and for the mind, and for the body. It's works on all angles, especially if you're trying to be in tune to it. So native children who are brought up in even with 50% of native traditions, because I know some folks, they live in houses and they do these things, but they still go to powwows, they still dance, and they are still traditionalists in a lot of ways, but they still got a lot of white folk in them. Doesn't make it bad, but it just is what it is today.
Well, yeah, because regardless if you're native or not, you grow up in this white society. You can't escape, the lifestyle. I mean, the way they work things with you got to have electricity in your house, and you're going to want these things. You're going to want the clothing. I mean, they did back, we've done so many shows of how, and I found out that what was the most important thing that the Indians wanted to trade for? I thought it was metal. And instead, no, it was clothing, cloth. Cloth was the most important. They were so happy to get cloth.
Yeah.
So they were sorry. In that way, they were looking at it as, hey, I want what you got. I'll trade you some stuff, but cloth would be really, really good. Even though we know that a leather blanket made out of a skin of a buffalo would keep you way warmer than a wool blanket, probably.
Right. Well, but anyway, with what I'll wrap this a little bit up. What I was talking about, native children, even at 50%, are more aware of Mother Earth and of natural things. So they understand that, I saw a coyote 2 days in a row. And so they're going to stop and think about what coyote means. And because I saw him, I saw that coyote 2 days in a row now, crossed in front of me. Now, I wonder what that means. So they look at where somebody else will go, that damn coyote. I saw him yesterday, I should have ran him over, and it's like, so the perceptions of people, so the perceptions of Native American folks have been given these basic understandings, and they feel it in their bones. Even though they're only 50% Native, they still, like for me, I felt these things as a child, and then I found out that I've got 3 grandmothers in my in my past heritage. So he's like, wow, so there is a reason why I feel these things, there is a connection for me, where other people just look and go, I don't get it. So there are folks who have a little bit of native blood in them, and they can hear the drum. And so you don't have to be a full-fledged Indian to hear the drum.
Yeah.
And I want to know how many people out there tonight, by the way, heard the drumming I was doing in the background. Okay.
I heard it. How about anybody else? Yeah, I don't know. I was hearing that. I was thinking.
I was just curious. I wasn't trying to make it noticeable, but I was putting it in the background like you had done earlier. So I was like, okay, let's see if anybody.
I thought you were doing. I'm thinking, what is he banging? I almost said something, but and then eventually it stopped, and I was like, okay, I was too busy doing my reading. Anyway, Nina heard it. She heard it. She was listening. Good catch. we should have our own secret word on the show, and maybe that's,
It'll cost you $300.
you know what the secret word is?
I'll let you have a deal. I'll give it to you for half price.
No, got it. You're stealing my business here. I'm selling at full price. You get the word and you sell it half price. Dang it. Undermining me
and then we
already.
can work out a deal on the side, maybe, but anyway.
It's inside us. Oh gosh.
So, but let me kind of wrap up something we were for this. For me anyway, it's like, if you want a vision quest, if you have to really feel it and want it. Now, you can be 50 years old and it come upon you. But in the native communities, those folks who are really in tune, 13, 14, 15, 16, they're like, if they're going to do it, they're ready.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying too, is, in that culture, they're encouraged to. In our white man culture, there's no such thing.
Nothing is encouraged.
No, it's just go out and be who you want to be, whatever you want to do. We don't care, and you can be a loser, or you can be a trailer trash, or you can be a doctor or a lawyer. You pick. We don't care. You just got to figure it out. It's like, what? But anyway, what I wanted to say too before, when you were talking about the coyote, right? See, now you see the coyote and you look at him and say, what does that mean? What a beautiful animal. What does it mean? Is that a sign? Yada, yada, yada. And a white guy comes along, sees a coyote, like you said, and he says, ooh, I'm going to get the gun, or I'm going to run it over with my car.
Yep.
That's the white man's way to look at it. How can I kill it? Where's
destruction?
Yeah. Where's the Native American guy is looking at it going, it's a sign, means something,
Yeah,
just don't go out and get the gun and, shoot it because it's there. And
yeah, Creator is sending me a message. I wonder what it is.
Yeah.
There's Coyote. Trickster's up somewhere,
When I was a kid, and my friend he got himself a little 22 or BB gun or whatever, and boy, he's like, oh, come on over, I got this new little gun, blah 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 blah. And so I went over, and what did he do? He was like, come on, let's go shoot all the chickadees. I'm like, okay, he goes out there and he's just shooting every chickadee and sparrow in the woods that he could find. And I just didn't, it just sickened me. And to this day, I will never forget that, how, it made me feel as he kept shooting all these little birds flying in these trees just because they were there. The chickadees and the sparrows and the blue jays, anything that moved, he was shooting it. And he was a good shot too. And all I kept thinking was, you're killing all these birds. They didn't do anything to you. What a horrible person are you? I don't want to hang around you. At least not when you're shooting a gun. You're not eating the chickadee. It's not hurting you. What's wrong with the chickadee? I'll never forget that. But I could never do that. Why didn't we shoot pop cans or something? Bottles off of see that, and that's the culture, and I'm kind of against that. So anyway, enough of that. I had to say that was my piece.
I went through a period as a young kid. We weren't even teenagers, where there was a BB gun in the neighborhood, and I remember chasing squirrels, and we hit a few of them. But I realized early on I didn't really want to kill them. But for me, it was that I wanted to hit the limb around them. I wanted to see how close I could get, because it was about target practice, and they were a moving target, But early on, I went through, we shot a couple of birds, and I was like, well, why? here's a dead bird in my hand. Well, that, somehow my inside said, this is senseless,
Mhm.
So, but I still like chasing the squirrels around with the BB gun, shooting under the limbs in the big oak trees in our neighborhood, But
Mhm.
for even us kids, it's like, well, don't kill it. You can shoot at it, but don't kill it, which is a weird kind of thing. So we knew we were shooting at the limb, but other kids were like, why are you trying to kill that squirrel? If we wanted to, we were such good shots, we could have killed them, but we didn't. So
Yeah.
even before we were 12, we kind of understood that,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
was just interesting that, well, two of the kids in the neighborhood, Butch turned out to be a sure enough kill deer at least once a year kind of thing. Which there's nothing wrong with that because he took it all and put it in the freezer. But he was the killer of the group, as it turned out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wanting to kill something every year, the need to go hunting, the
Well,
need to kill
there's
something.
there's nothing wrong with going hunting. If you're going to kill it and eat it and sustain your life, and if you do it in the right way, but to just go out there and shoot Tweety birds, or if you like you said, you were a kid, if you just went around in everybody's yard and shot all the squirrels just because they were running around, they weren't doing anything. But hey, I went through the neighbors' yards, I shot every squirrel in the neighborhood.
Yep.
For what? They're just all laying all over the roadside. I just threw them in the brush.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. F Kitty says, as a hunter, you should honor what you kill and not
Yep.
kill without reason, and do it as quick and humanely as possible. Now, that's how my dad taught me. Off the hook is in the house.
And that's good. That's good.
Okay. Anyway, are you ready for the story tonight?
Yeah, I'm set up.
Okay, good deal. I'm set up here. We're ready to go.
Alrighty then. So the story tonight, as told by Johnny John, who learned it from his grandmother, who lived to be 130 years old. And the name of this story is A Man Pursued by His Uncle and by His Wife. An old man and his nephew lived together in a forest. Their house had a partition through the middle and a door at each end. The uncle never entered the part occupied by his nephew, and all communication between the two was held by each hearing through the partition. The other said to himself. Each went in and out of his own part of the house when he liked, but neither ever crossed the threshold of the other part. After a time, the nephew discovered his uncle's true nature. He was a man-eater. One day, a woman came to the young man's part of the house. The next morning, the uncle said, "My nephew has two ways of breathing." The young man said, speaking to himself, said, "My uncle is mistaken. I am talking to myself."
Oh, can I interrupt? I think we just read this one last week or the week before. He brings the woman in the house. He brings the woman in the house, and then the woman's there, and the uncle says, and he says, "Be quiet, woman. I'm going to go out and hunt." Then the uncle finds out, and then he hunts the woman down, and so et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, we read this story already. I'm pretty sure I was like, "Oh yeah, I know this story." Exactly. The partition. He never did see the uncle. And he brings the woman in the house, and he says, "Oh, don't say anything. The uncle knows there's somebody there." He says, "Bring me my food. You're hiding my food." Yeah, I think we read this one already. Pretty sure we did. Yeah. Yep. You want to read the next one?
I can, but as I'm reading through this, I don't remember reading this story.
Yeah, I remember you read this story. Just the week or
Remember
so ago.
now, there are stories with uncles and partitions that are not this.
Okay, well, if you want to continue reading, I'm like
But
I said, I'm like, man, I know this story. I think you read this story just the other day. I mean, it's really fresh in my mind. But okay, sorry. I'll bow out. You keep on going.
I'm almost to the next story, so
You remember it now?
no, it is not familiar at all.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he says the three women had been here before. He killed and ate each one of them, and then he has to hide this other one.
Yeah, but that's not this story.
The uncle wants to kill and eat this one too, and then he chases her down, and the nephew comes. Oh yeah, it's almost word for word.
That ain't this. That ain't
You
this.
sure? You sure?
I'm going through it right now, and this is not that story.
Yeah. Okay, because I really
towards the end of the story, and I'm like, this is about two boys near a village and with their dogs, and it's like
yeah, the boys went to the village because he and the dogs stayed outside of the village, and they didn't come in the village, and then they had the two kids, and he hid the kids, and then he went to the grandmother who lived in the house with this other lady, and then he married the daughter of the old lady, and so forth and so on. Yeah, the dogs got.
It must be similar, but it's not the same one. As I'm going through this story, because I'm the one that's been reading them, and this is not. But there are parts that are familiar, but this is. I mean, it's like almost 10 pages long. I mean, I still am not. I'm still at the.
Yeah, sorry. I really, I swear you read the story the other day.
Well, it can't be the other day because
not the other day, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, or something like that. I don't know why, but this is exactly the same story. I'm like, no way. And I'm thinking, that's the same story. We've done that before. So that's why I was like, and then we, it was like almost back to back, like every other week. And it's like, oh, how did we mess up? Did we mess up?
No, because the story has been told before. I mean, because we have gone through the book, I say page by page.
Do you want to I'm sorry, but do you want to do this story? Do you want to go to the next one, or what? What do you want?
I'm already on the next one. We kind of ruined this one.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, I really think I'm going to have to go back and find it, and we can always do it next week. But I swear we already did that one.
It is similar, but not the same. Like some other stories that we have read.
Yeah,
it's
I
similar,
know some of them
but not the same.
I mean, when you were reading it, I was like, I could almost say the words before you spoke them. I'm thinking, I know we read the story. I know we did. But I'm thinking, I know it. Anyway, okay.
So are
I'll
you
have
there
to
yet?
dig it up. Yeah, oh yeah, the lazy man.
Okay, it took me a while to get there. I have to scroll down very carefully, otherwise it'll skip 40 pages, and then I
Yeah, I
have
know
to
how that goes.
scroll back up. So, I have to be very careful when I'm scrolling on this thing.
Yeah.
It's very sensitive. So the story is a lazy man. And Dagwanoyant whirlwind, and he is the panther. In Genesee, there was a young man, an orphan, who went around among the people, staying wherever kind-hearted persons would keep him, sleeping on the ground by a brush fire, and eating whatever was given to him. When he was 20 years old, he was as much of a boy as ever. Now, see, this story already sounds like I've read it. A chief who was rich and proud lived in Geneseo. He had a daughter and 2 or 3 sons. One day, the orphan stopped near the chief's house where people were burning brush. One of the chief's sons came out and said to him, "Don't you feel poor and lonely sitting around so?" "No," said the young man, "I feel as rich as you do." "Don't you sometimes think you would like to have a wife?" "Yes, sometimes I think I would like a wife if I could get one." "What would you think of my sister for a wife? Many men have tried to marry her, but she refuses everyone." "Oh," said the orphan boy, looking up, "I would as soon have her as any woman. She is handsome and rich." "I will ask her to marry you," said the brother, thinking to have fun with his sister. He went to the house and said to her, "There is a young man out there by the fire who would like to marry you. Will you be his wife?" "I will. I would rather marry him than anyone else." "Shall I tell him so?" "You may." He told the young man, who said, "I shall be glad to have her for my wife." The brother, in fun, repeated this to his sister, who said, "I will go and ask him myself." She went to the orphan and asked, "What did my brother say to you?" He told her, and she said, "I will go with you. Come tomorrow at this time, and I will marry you." The next morning, the girl got leggings and moccasins for the young man. He had never worn moccasins in summer. In the evening, he came to where she was. He washed, put on the leggings and embroidered moccasins, and tied up his hair. She told him then that he could go home with her, but he must not talk to any of the men, that one of her brothers was always fooling. The girl became the orphan's wife, and he lived in the chief's house. In the fall, when the chief's sons were ready to go deer hunting, the young woman wanted to go. She had a husband, and she thought he might be a good hunter. The man had never hunted, but he said, "I will go and try." When the party had gone some distance, they camped and began to hunt. The young man found a place where there were wild grapevines. He made a swing and then sat in it and swung all day and didn't try to hunt. At night he went home without game. Each morning he went out to the swing, and each evening he went home without game. The brothers killed many deer. One day one brother said to the other, "Our brother-in-law gets no game. Maybe he doesn't hunt." They agreed to watch him. The next morning they followed the young man, found him swinging, and saw that the ground was smooth around the swing. Then they said, "We will not live with him and feed him. We will leave him, go a day's journey away, and camp." They left the man and woman with only one leg of deer meat. The young man never ate much. The woman ate most of the meat. When it was gone, she began to be afraid of starving. One day, while the man was swinging, a horned owl lighted on a tree nearby. He shot the owl and put it under the swing where he could look at it as he swung. His wife was getting very hungry. That night when he came home without game, she said, "If I have nothing to eat tomorrow, I will be too weak to get up. You ought to kill something." "Well, maybe tomorrow I will kill something." The next morning, the man went, as usual, to the swing. While he was swinging, he heard him crying. He was frightened and stopped swinging. Soon he saw a female panther coming with 3 cubs. She was crying. As she approached, he heard a terrible roar in the north, the direction from which the panther had come. Then the man saw the whirlwind coming, tearing down all the trees in his path. He stopped on a tree near the swing. "You know now what harm you have done," said Whirlwind to Panther. "Why are you angry with the panther?" asked the young man. "What has she done to you?" "She has torn up my best feather cap." "Why do you think so much of your cap? It must have been a nice one." "It was nice." "What kind of feathers was it made of?" "It was the skin and feathers of a horned owl." "What would you think if I gave you another cap?" "How would you get one?" The young man picked up the horned owl that he had killed and threw it at Whirlwind. Whirlwind caught it and said, "Thank you, this is better than the one Panther destroyed." And away he flew. Panther thanked the man and said, "I am glad that you had the owl. You have saved my life. Now I will help you. Go to that knoll yonder. Behind it you will find 2 bucks fighting. Shoot them both. The one you shoot first will not run. They will fight till they die." The young man found the bucks and watched them till they killed each other. Then, taking a large piece of meat, he went home to his wife, who was almost starved. "I have brought you meat," said he. "I had good luck today." The woman sprang up, threw the meat on the fire, and hardly waited for it to cook till she began to eat. They dragged the bucks home, skinned them, and had plenty of meat. The young woman dried the meat and tanned the skins. Panther told the man to always hunt near the swing, and he would kill a great deal of game. When they had a large quantity of meat, the man said to his wife, "Your brothers are good hunters. No doubt they have plenty of meat, but I will find them and see." He started. On the way, he killed a deer, and he carried the carcass along. He found the camp, and looking in, saw the brothers. They were poor and weak. He went in and asked, "How are you?" "We are almost starved," said one of them. "We can find nothing to kill." "Your sister and I have plenty. Come and live with us." I have meat here. Eat and then come to my camp. He gave them the deer, and they ate the meat nearly raw, so hungry. When they started for the young man's camp, he went ahead, got home quickly, and told his wife he had found her brothers near starvation than she had been. During the night, the brothers came. They were satisfied and remained with their sister and brother-in-law. After a while, they all went back to the village, loaded with skins and venison. Now the young man was rich, and he and his wife lived ever after in Geneseo County, Valley. The end.
Good one. Good one. That's right. Chloe's in the house. Chloe's in the house. Yep. Anyway, that was good. You know what I get out of this? You know what I got out of this story? Is that these people, well, I shouldn't say these. It turns out these men, they were kind of being greedy. Like, he's not doing his part, so we're going to leave him and go do our thing, and he can starve to death. But it's generosity and sharing. And you know what I'm saying? Is it's all about the sharing. Like, hey, I got some meat, and I'm going to share it with whoever. I ain't going to charge them for it, because nowadays, you know how it is with us people. You get there and it's like, I got something, but if you want it, you better pay me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, not very often do people want to share for free. They would almost rather watch you starve.
And, would you like to learn the secret word?
That's right. That's right.
People are starving for, meditational things, but you got to be able to pay first. So, but it's that's spiritual starvation. But to the point though, yep, it's still going on many levels. It may not be venison and it may not be something, in your camp, but it's still going on.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, but yeah, that's what I got out of it. I got that people can share. Now, I think that's one thing people really forgotten is sharing. They don't do it as often as they used to. And it's not sharing like, I gave my $5 at the Salvation Army kettle this year, I'm good. You know what I mean? That's not quite the sharing I'm talking about. I'm talking about I got plenty, and I'm going to give my neighbor some. I grew a big garden and I gave away a bunch of vegetables. I wasn't needing them all. So, why not give them away? I didn't put a price tag on them. I didn't look at everybody and say, hey, you got to give me $5 or I ain't giving you this or giving you that. You know what I mean?
Yep, I do.
Back in the day, it was like, hey, I've read plenty of those stories. It's like if you were wandering out in the woods and you wandered up to an Indian camp and they invited you into the tent, they would give you their last morsel of food because you were their guest. And if you're their guest, they would feed you and do whatever. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't look at you and say, well, there's no food at this end. Get it, keep moving. And even the white man back in the day, when you went to somebody's farm or house, it didn't matter who you were, they would offer you a meal. They would, hey, stranger, come on in. Are you hungry? You thirsty? Blah, blah, blah. So, you know what I'm saying.
Yes. And to that point, the house that I lived in that was built out of logs from the farm there by three brothers. It had a one room that stuck out from the rest of the house, and it had a door to the porch, and a door to the rest of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the day, that if somebody would, because they lived so far out in the country, if folks couldn't make it home, you could park there and go in the door from the porch and spend the night and get up the next morning and maybe have, lunch, breakfast or something with the family or whatever, and then be on your way. And so, the one of the things that we had a ghost there in the house. So the door to the porch, you could not lock. And if you did, you'd come back later and it would be unlocked again. Because the ghost that lived there, that door was never locked. The lock was there for the person in the room, not for, to lock them out. So, but you could lock the door between the house and the room and it would stay locked. But lock that door to the porch and a couple hours later it'd be unlocked. And it was the old skeleton key kind of thing. You had to latch it into place. So, but anyway, yes, I do understand that. And people were different back in those days. Like, you stayed the night. Well, come have breakfast with us. Come on in. There's room.
Yeah.
Whether there was room or not, they made room.
Yeah. Today you could be broke down on the side of the road. You could be lost, and they look at you like, you're on my private property. Get out. But I'm lost. I don't care. Get out. I'm calling the cops. You don't belong here.
Or somebody will stop and try to rob you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Or they do rob you, which is even worse.
Yeah. It's this crazy world we live in. Like I said, we're all, about the materialistic things. Today our judgment is clouded by those material things, and I think what was years ago was more or less was not the material things but surviving. Like, hey, you're going to go on your journey, here's some food, there's some bread and water and supplies. I give you a little bit what I got. It ain't much, but you can have some of it. I know you're going on a big journey. And it meant a lot, and people were all just looking to survive and to eat and to have a roof over their head or be warm or something like that. And now it's everybody is warm. Everybody lives the life of Riley. I mean, I always worry about what happens when there's a number of us who can't live the life of Riley. You're going to go protest in the streets? You don't have a warm house, or your electricity's out, or you don't have water, or your car don't work because there's no gas or something. Oh my God, people would flip out if their cell phone didn't work or their cable didn't come on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Netflix ain't working.
And what is the life of Riley mean these days? And who the hell is Riley?
Yeah. Well, they say that, the poorest person lives as good as the king did back in the day. Because, they lived in this cold castle with pretty much no heat, and, they didn't have all these conveniences and things like that, but they got the best of the best, and they got food every night, and they got they were, whatever there was available, the king got. Today, the poorest person pretty much gets all of that. They get food and they get, so you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, at least they get food stamps.
Yes, and that's exactly it. So,
yep. So lessons for the day, eh?
Yes.
Well, while we've been yakking, I have been pulling cards.
All right.
And so, and some of y'all are going to go, he's setting these cards up because I'm pulling similar cards, like I pulled the deer upside down.
Yep.
Really? But deer obviously has a repetitive message, but I looked at the card and went, not again. you know,
Yeah.
I pulled the deer card again. But, I can't see the cards and I'm going through them with my fingers. So, to be able to say, wait a minute, but I pulled the deer card again. It must be important. And I'm not trying to pull the deer card every time, you know, as much as I really like the deer card and some of what it stands for. But, so the first one tonight is number 38 in the book. It's frog. And with the rain we had last night, we got a lot of frogs croaking in the backyard, which is good. Frog sings the songs that bring the rain and make the road dirt more bearable. That's for sure. Frog medicine is akin to water energy and the east on the medicine wheel. Frog teaches us to honor our tears. Honor, that word needs to be used more often and followed. For they cleanse the soul. All water rights belong to frog, including all initiations by water. Water prepares and cleanses the body for sacred ceremony. It is the element we understand best in the womb. Frog, like ourselves, is a polywog in the fetal waters and only learns to hop after it experiences the world of fluidity. I love that line, the world of fluidity. So if we can remember that from being in the womb, we too have experienced that. It's just that we have forgotten it. The transformation into adulthood prepares frog for its power to call on the waters of the skies, the rain. And knowing the element of water, frog can sing the song that calls the rain to earth. When the ponds are dry, frog calls upon the thunder beings to cleanse and replenish the earth with water. Like frog, we are asked to know when it is time to refresh, purify, and refill the coffers of the soul. If frog hopped into the cards today, you chose its ribbit may be calling you in the cleansing you may need. If you were to look at where you are today, would you use any of the following words to describe your condition? Tired, overloaded, harried, frustrated, guilty, itchy, nervous, at a loss, empty, or weakened. That's a good list of words. If so, take a break and allow yourself to bathe in the waters of frog medicine. This could mean a long, relaxing bath, disconnecting the phone and yelling stop, or taking in deep, cleansing breaths. The key thought is to find a way to rid yourself of distractions and to replace the mud with clear energy. Then replenish your parched spirit, body, and mind. Now, weren't we kind of sort of talking about that earlier?
Yeah.
To rid yourself of distractions. So, frog here with cleansing, could I have picked a better card for tonight with what we were talking about? The key thought is to find a way to rid yourself of distractions and to replace the mud with clear energy. Then replenish your parched spirit, body, and the mind. An ability of the frog medicine people is to give support and energy where it is needed. A frog medicine person can clean negativity from any environment. Many mediums or clairvoyants who work with cleansing haunted houses carry frog medicine. Many of the world's seers use water on their hands when tapping into other realms of reality due to water's superconductive nature. And many of the old folks use scrying, which is the art of like putting water into a bowl or something and just staring into it, basically. Frog speaks of new life and harmony through its rain song. We just had rain here last night and today. The deep tones of Frog's ribbit are said to be a call to the thunder beings, thunder, lightning, and the rain. The ribbit is the heartbeat that comes into harmony with Father Skies and calls for the replenishment needed. Call to Frog and find peace in the joy of taking time to give yourself. A part of this giving is cleansing yourself. Here's the key. A part of this giving is cleansing yourself of any person, place, or thing that does not contribute to your new state of serenity and replenishment. If somebody in your life is mucking it up, avoid them, get rid of them, say adios, do whatever it takes, you know. So, but anyway, so that's the medicine of Frog. Now, that's interesting because, you know, we were talking about cleansing and so forth. And the next one in line here is Butterfly Upside Down, which is number 9 in the book. Number 9, number 9, number 9. Got to go to the other end of the book.
Ah, okay.
So, butterfly is transformation. The power that butterfly brings to us is akin to the air. It is the mind and the ability to know the mind or to change it. It is the art of transformation. Okay. Now, here we are with frog medicine and cleansing, and now butterfly is asking us for transformation. To use butterfly medicine, you must astutely observe your position in the cycle of self-transformation. Like butterfly, you are always at a certain station in your life activities. You may be at the egg stage, which is the beginning of all things. You may, this is the stage at which an idea is born, but has not yet come reality. The larva stage is the point at which you decide to create an idea into the physical world. The cocoon stage involves going within, doing or developing your project or your idea or your aspect of personality. The final stage of transformation is the leaving of the chrysalis and birth. The last step involves sharing the colors and joy of your creation with the world. Now, the butterfly card was upside down. So here's the upside down. If you have drawn butterfly reversed, your lesson is a simple one. There is a need for change in your life that you are not recognizing. This could be a possible need for freedom, for a vacation, or for a new job. Now, Frog just said that we needed, cleansing. So this need for change may be related to the cleansing. You may believe the change is too difficult, and you may rule it out to preserve the comfort of your old habits. But in ruling out any possibility of change, you are saying that the courage of butterfly has been lost. Why does butterfly represent courage? Because there is a totally different world outside the cocoon, where the known realities of the chrysalis are no longer applicable. This new world demands that you use your newfound wings and fly. So, frog in the cleansing, and this is, understanding. So next one in line, wow, there's 3 of them upside down, is Lynx, number 18. And I think I pulled Lynx here recently. So, I'm like, Secrets. It is said that if you want to find out a secret, ask Lynx Medicine. Unfortunately, it is difficult to get the silent lynx to speak. To be confronted by the powerful medicine of Lynx signifies that you do not know something about yourself or others. Lynx is the keeper of the secrets of lost magical systems and occult knowledge. Lynx has the ability to move through time and space and to go into the great silence for unraveling any mystery. Lynx is not the guardian of secrets, but the knower of secrets. The problem lies in getting Lynx to instruct you. He or she would rather be off chasing a bird or a rabbit or kicking sand in your face than running circles around you. Now, the lynx was also upside down. If Lynx has appeared in the reverse position, it is time to shut your big mouth. That's what it says. Something you are jabbering about has let the cat out of the bag. Are you defiling a sacred trust, or have you broken a promise to a friend? Or maybe you broke a promise to yourself. If not, you may have pulled a good boner on yourself by blabbing your latest idea to a friend or a competitor. Watch your tongue and see if you are able to refrain from gossiping or talking about your latest romantic conquest. Not for me. Look and see if your present state, you are able to listen and truly be interested in someone else's stories or ideas. On this level, Lynx is telling you to become worthy of trust. And in cleansing yourself and busting out of the chrysalis, you need to learn this. Become worthy of trust, that other people can trust you, that you will keep your mouth shut. Then the secrets will be available to you. You might look at choosing to have your brain in gear before your babble starts, or your foot may have to replace your tongue. This is the know-it-all syndrome. Fine. If you want to talk, just sew up your ears. After all, talking leaves no room for hearing or learning. That's a good line. After all, talking leaves no room for hearing or learning. Lynx is a tough teacher, and if you have let the cat out of the bag, be ready for the consequences. Now, the last one is deer upside down. So even though I think there's positivity in these answers, you know, deer is gentleness. Then the short story about deer was headed up Sacred Mountain to have a chat with the creator. And there's a demon on the trail. And the demon was scaring everybody else from going up Sacred Mountain. And Fawn was there and just melted the demon's heart to the size of a walnut. And in doing so, because the demon's no longer there to scare you with fear, the road to Sacred Mountain is now open because of deer. So deer teaches us to use the power of gentleness to touch the hearts and minds of wounded beings who are trying to keep us from Sacred Mountain. There's still limbs falling out of the tree. Deer in the contrary position indicates that you are courting your fear by fighting the internal demons of negative ideas. Ooh, this is a clue to you that force is not always the best method. You may not be willing to love yourself enough to feel your fears and let them go. You may be projecting your fears on others. It may also be others whom you fear, reminding you of a time when you reached to life in much the same manner. At any rate, love is the key. The only true balance to power is the love and compassion of deer. Be willing to find things to love about yourself and others, and your demons will melt away. Your fears cannot exist in the same place that love and gentleness abide. I'm going to read that again because it's real important part of this message. You know, frogs talking about cleansing. You know, butterflies about getting out of your rut. And, Lynx is talking about secrets. And here, deer is this secret may be this. Your fears cannot exist in the same place that love and gentleness abide. There are a lot of people afraid now. A lot of people worrying about this is the end of the world and the end of humanity and the end of the human race, and we're all going to die. So your fears cannot exist in the same place that love and gentleness abide. So if you change your way of thinking and make sure that love and gentleness is your primary, put thing, then the fear of other stuff just can't come in. There's no room for it. So thank you to the spirits for the messages tonight.
Absolutely.
I appreciate, even though that the cards were upside down, they were, in my humble opinion, they have been a positive, voice, if you will. How else do I say that? There have been a positive something.
Well, I hope they resonated with everybody. I think they were really good ones. Butterfly for transformation, the lynx, the frog, all of them are pointing us into a direction,
and they were all related to tonight's, the cleansing, we're talking about meditation. And, dear, if you live in fear, there's, you're going to be afraid to meditate, because there are times when you're meditating and something might come to mind, and a vision or something, and you go, holy crap, what was that? So, and I've had some of those moments, but at the same time, if you live in that fear always, you'll never be able to meditate. You'll never be able to calm down. You'll never be able to, it's so important message, and in line, I think, with the subject tonight. Thank you, Robert.
Mm-hmm. It was real good, real good. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It's been good. We're right at the 2-hour mark. Boy, we're hitting it right on the head tonight. So with all of that, remember, do that gentleness thing. Do some meditation. They've been doing it for thousands of years. Us white folks who don't know anything about it need to get on board. You know what I mean?
Yep. And Robert, you have invited me before we came on tonight to come on to other shows this month. So I want to invite some folks that, Robert and I have not talked about this, but I'm going to end with this. So, but anytime we have a show about meditation, I'm going to do my best to try to give you some kind of information on how you may be able to meditate, how you may be able to calm yourself. So I'm going to try to give tips and tricks and stuff, and it'll be up to you as to whether or not it's good information or good medicine for you.
Absolutely. One meditation for one person doesn't work for another person. And like I said, I'm finding that a lot of people they seem to not have time. They don't have time. They don't know how to do it. They don't know what it's all about. Or they just don't take the effort to do it. And, I think a lot of people, even myself, I've been trying to make a steady effort in learning and doing and focusing, a few minutes a day here and there to just calm myself and meditate on things.
And one thing that is a difficult thing to learn, but it is important to learn, in that you have to learn how to let it be. So, you struggle to meditate. If you're struggling, then you're not letting it be.
That's right.
But I understand, because I struggled, for years and years, and trying to get it right and doing all these things. So, but in learning about this, if you're struggling, you're trying too hard. That's a very good basic trick. If you're struggling too hard, you're trying too hard. Calm down and relax.
That's right. Take a chill pill. Anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you. I want to give a big shout out to everybody. Scotty Boy, Loretta Ignama, and Off the Hook. Jeannie Musgrave Griffin there. She's up late tonight. Must have been some good stories. F Kitty for all the great advice and knowledge she shared with us tonight. Chloe is in the house. She must be done with work. And let's see, who else is in here? I seen Big Justin earlier. I seen Nina the Mystic. I seen all kinds of people. Max Vision Remote View class. Man, we had the people in here tonight. Regine Hutchinson, thank you for coming and being part of the collective tonight. Let's see who else has been here. But anyway, everybody that's been in chat and participated tonight, I appreciate each and every one of you. Elderberry, who was in the house tonight, thank you. Thank you all. Lucky Stone, remember, go check out his channel. He's got some great mantras and wise sayings over there that you could use for your meditation also. Now, Nina the Mystic has also informed me that she has already a video out there she did a year or so ago. Seeker of Truth 2 is in the house tonight. Anyway, we're going to be getting people on to talk about meditation all month long. Some will be short and some will be a little longer, but each and every one of them is valuable in itself, because what I might tell you, it just doesn't resonate, but what David might tell you will resonate, or what Nina might tell you, or Lucky might tell you. Whatever works, that's what you should do. Is that not right?
Or all of the above.
All of the above. That's right. Just don't worry about one. If it doesn't work, try another. There's lots of ways to do it. It's just about getting it done. Get whatever gets the job done. Right? Okay, well, with that, everyone, thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for being here. We'll be back next week. We'll be back during the week, and I'll be back on Saturday for Saturday Night Trinity of Truth, as always, the big Saturday night show. And with that, we'll be back next week too. So have a good one. Do something nice for your neighbor. You know how it goes. It's what you put out there is what you're going to receive back. So remember to be the frequency you want to receive, everybody. Love y'all. Peace, everybody.
Cheers.